Hey everybody, Jeremy Weiss here with Weiss Tech Hockey, and I wanted to do a quick clarification video on the neutral zone trap. Now, a couple years ago, I put out a video on one way of running the neutral zone trap, and kind of before we get into this, I want to just say there are a few different ways of running it, depending on the circumstance, depending on how the other team is setting up. And so there have been a couple questions come in on the original video, and so I figured it'd be a good time to do, maybe a clarification video and just kind of outline a few of the different options and strategically when you would use certain options and why why different coaches like the different options. So first and foremost, let me just kind of talk about the concept of the neutral zone trap. Basically, what the trap aims to do is conceptually you give away or give up the wide breakout, so the board side breakout, kind of take away the middle, and then as the opposing team bites on that and moves the puck up the boards, then you systematically eliminate their options until there's nowhere left to go with the puck. And the reason it's called the neutral zone trap is usually by the time you've done that, the play has progressed out into the neutral zone, and that's kind of where you've sealed off all their options and made it so that there's nowhere else to go except kind of dumping the puck back to your team. And then at that point, especially the teams that are good on the transition, that's where they, quick transition back up ice and they're on the offense again. So that's kind of the mentality of the neutral zone trap. Now, like I said, there are a few different ways of running it. Obviously, there are a few different configurations. First and foremost, the most common that you used to see was the 1-2-2. In recent years, Tampa Bay Lightning has made the 1-3-1 a common, more common way of seeing it. So you do see different configurations. You also see different depths in terms of where the initial setup starts. So what I want to do is outline a few of those different options and then kind of tell you where I would use them. And then, obviously every coach has their own approach, and you can take this for what it's worth and use it with your teams, however you see fit. So, the most common, kind of the general way that you see this, the neutral zone trap setup is like this. We've got the light blue players of the opposition. So this is the defenseman with the puck. This could be, the other defenseman. Obviously, every situation is different, depends on the situation. But for now, we're just going to keep this guy in front of the net. These are the wingers, and I'm not drawing these guys in motion. So, usually whichever side the breakout's going to come out, the other winger may be breaking up ice for some sort of breakaway man or outlet up there. So we'll just put these guys in position for now, and my point of this is just to kind of diagram out where the forecheckers go. This will be a centerman swinging through for a middle breakout option. So if you've got a setup similar to this, usually what you see in terms of a trap is you'll have your F1 coming in like this. Now some coaches like to start him stationary. Some coaches have him swinging in, from one side to the other, kind of taking away the one side of the ice and swinging in and angling as the play progresses. And I'll draw a few arrows in here as we go. Then you'll have, kind of on your basic setup, you'll have your F2 somewhere in here, F3 somewhere over here, and then you've got your 2D out near the top. So we've got kind of a setup kind of like this, almost like a pentagon type of a look. And usually what happens is, as the play progresses, this player will step out, okay, from one side to, or the other. And in this case, since I've got the centerman on this side, I'm just going to assume they're breaking out this side. And usually how we make this work is the F1 is the angle man. And so he kind of comes in, steers the play. Initially, he's eliminating the middle breakout option, but then as the play progresses, basically he's kind of steering the play and taking an angle that looks almost kind of like this. Maybe we'll stretch this a little bit more so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. But basically what he's doing is he's creating almost a kill zone where he's creating this angle where this guy's being pushed up ice, because that's what we're doing. We're giving them the board side pass. So as that pass is being made, and now this guy starts walking up the ice, this F1 is taking an angle, almost pushing him up the ice, not letting him turn back, not letting him cut inside. And then as that happens, then you see F2, and I'll draw these in as arrows, basically just makes the stand. F2 makes the stand. F3 is coming back. Depending on how the situation presents itself, sometimes the F3 is sliding in, more to the middle. Sometimes he's filtering more of a defensive angle, but he's looking for any potential cross-ice pass. And then we've got our other defenseman who slides up, because if you do this properly, a lot of times the chip, this guy doesn't have anything to do other than chip it off the boards, and that's where your defenseman picks it up. And then you've got your other defenseman, again, staggering back, slightly defensive angle, but that's kind of your general textbook kind of looking, 1-2-2. Or sorry, not 1-2-2, neutral zone trap, but it does shape up like a 1-2-2. Now, there are other ways of doing this depending on the situation, depending on, how the other team's setting up. If the other team's setting up low, like, the breakout's kind of happening around the hash marks or whatnot, then that can work. This way can work just fine, and that's what you see quite often. Let's erase some of these lines, and we'll come back and kind of set up a different approach here. Okay, so the next variation you may see on this, and this is again a personal preference for whichever coach that you're working with or looking at, is you may not see these guys set up quite so low. Sometimes some coaches, some teams prefer to kind of take the whole setup and slide it back a little bit. I don't prefer this one. It can work, but the reason I like to try to get it initiated lower is because I would like to cut off the play before the other team reaches the red line, which, if you do that, then obviously that eliminates the possibility for a dump in, because if they can't cross the red line, then they can't dump it unless it's icing. So sometimes, though, you will see it set up a little bit higher out, and that can work as well. It's fine. It just depends on, the reads and, the team being able to do it. Now what I want to do is jump over and show you the configuration that I had set up in the other video, and this is what was causing a few of the questions. Is what I like to do is this a little bit different, and this can work. Again, the concept of the trap is still the same. It's giving a lane and then taking it away. The reason when this would work a little bit better is, let me talk about the setup before we get into why it might work better in some instances. So what we've got our F1. He's pretty low, and then we've got our F2 and F3, and they set up a little bit more narrow than maybe your conventional, neutral zone trap would be. And then again, the defensemen are back here, so it's a little bit more of a narrow 1-2-2. And the reason why that's kind of appealing is because it makes it look like there's a lot more open on the board side. Now, when this would come into play is a couple reasons, and what the first and foremost is if you've got a team that maybe doesn't set up behind the net, so maybe it's a quick dump in, and they have the tendency to just take it and break it out initially straight from the corner, where it's not going to give F1 as much time to come in and corral the play and angle the play. Also, where you see this, the approach, and I'm going to show you what the approach looks like, is if the wingers aren't so low. If the wingers are setting up a little more high, then it's not going to be nearly as likely for this F1 to come in and still be able to steer the play and set up that kill zone. So what I've had my guys do in these situations, where we've got a breakout that's more initiating from the corner rather than behind the net, and the other team's planting their wingers up higher than you'd normally see, what we do is it's the same concept. It's just changing who becomes kind of that initial funneling guy. And so here's what it would look like is, obviously we give them the boards. That's what we're looking to do. Then as that pass is being made, now what we've drawn in the other video is F2 now becomes kind of the angle man. So as this is happening now, F2 is taking an angle and funneling this guy towards the boards. F1 is kind of swinging in behind and making sure there's no possibility for a drop pass, because that is one way to beat the trap, is a quick drop pass and the pass across. And then F3 is funneling up the middle, almost kind of the similar type of angle. So basically F3 is taking away the cross ice pass. F1 is eliminating a possible drop pass or a pass in behind the play. If F2 maybe takes the wrong angle a little bit, we don't want this guy, we don't want the first man getting beat behind him. So if F2 gets out in front of the play a little bit too much, and then there's a possibility for a cross ice pass behind F2, then he's taking the wrong angle. So we'll send F1 kind of funneling up the play from behind, eliminating the possibility for a drop pass. And also, just in case F2 takes improper angle, he can still funnel that play. And then just kind of the same as what we've normally had, we have the defenseman slide over and he holds the line, and this defenseman's coming back at a defensive angle. And so it's the same concept. The trap concept's still there. You give the board side breakout, then you take it away as the play progresses. But this is obviously a slightly different variation where we don't have F1 creating the initial pressure because that winger sets up a little bit higher. And, or if the breakout comes, it's a quick breakout straight from the corner, then, this is one way of dealing with a team that's doing it like that. So there are a lot of different ways of running the trap, and, it can be a very effective forecheck. If your team has the ability to adjust on the fly and understands the concepts of just, all it really is just funneling and angling, setting up a kill zone. And it doesn't even have to be like a kill zone like we're talking about, step up and shellac this guy. But what we're talking about is a kill zone where you're funneling him into an area where there's nowhere he can go other than, either get hit or move the puck, up to your players. And then again, once this happens, the key to effective offense off a trap is a quick transition in the neutral zone. So you want to have a quick, maybe as this defenseman gets it, set up a quick D-to-D pass, and then get F3 peeling off for a post-up regroup type of play, where it's a quick D-to-D pass right back up ice. Now you're back in the zone on offense as quick as possible. So hopefully that clears up some of the confusion on the different setups on the neutral zone trap. Like I said, there's different setups for different situations, and there's more than one way of skinning a cat, almost always when you're talking team systems. So hopefully this helps, and make sure you leave any questions or comments in the comments area if you have any concerns or any questions on this setup. So hopefully that helps, and if you want more of these videos, make sure you visit us at weisstechhockey.com/blog for more drills, skills, systems talk, all kinds of stuff that'll help you improve your game.